Hey everyone, how are you? Good. Good to see you. Good to see you. Do you like the couch? Can I get you a brandy? Do I have to wear a Hugh Hefner slipper? Is that what I have to do? Um, after how disastrous that first live stream is, I thought I'd spend a couple of hours, go through all my notes, fix them, and apparently I'm not good at spelling. Apparently I've learned this now. Maybe I have to go back to university and be like an English major, or just primary school or something, or just better listening. I don't know, one or the other. But I have definitely gone through, fixed a bunch of my notes, tried to just take out stuff that we can't use because, like, there's some things that are just protected that we're not able to use. You know, just doesn't need to be talked about. Um, yeah, so I thought we'd try again. Try again. Hopefully, I'm gonna try. Where's the button on this thing? All right, button's here. Let's not touch the button. There's a little tiny button on the back. Let's not touch that. Let's not touch that. I don't know. Should we do this in the future? Should Ping buy a couch and just? I used to stream from a couch when I first started. Do you guys remember that? Before I bought the desk at my house, I used to stream on a couch. Not like this though. It was a little bit different. But should Ping get a laptop? Should we just hang out here with Ping and just do like? I look like it's some sort of like bedtime stories. Gather round, children. Gather round. Come, come, let me tell you about the bedtime stories. Uh, this is not a bedtime story. This is not. This is very legal, super legal, super documents and facts and things. All right, no more. Stop, Ping. Stop. You sound like you've had 10 beers. Stop it. I have had no beers, although a beer would be nice. Um, yeah. So today, so let's get everyone on track. Today is actually day 2. Now, I know that sounds a little weird, so let me explain it to you. It's day 1 for me because today media got full access. Yesterday was actually the opening day of the trial, day 1. But yesterday was jury selection, which was not telecast. There was no media, nothing like that. Although I think some details were released later on. Everyone heard them, all that breaking news. But today was the first day where we actually got to sit and observe this trial. Use the real words, Ping. Good work. Um, let me start. Let's start from the beginning. So, who did we hear from today? Well, we heard from 2 different people. The title that we were given today is Dr. Rogers, but it's Nanette Rogers or Dr. Nanette Rogers. This is the prosecution for the Erin Patterson trial. The other person we heard from today is Colin Mandy. Colin Mandy is the defense. This is on Erin Patterson's team. We heard from them at the end of the day, very close to the end of the day. It was about 3:35, 3:40 that we stopped. The prosecution's finished up their opening address, and we got to hear from the defense. But first, we'll go through some of the stuff from earlier today on the prosecution side with Dr. Rogers, or if you want to use a full name, you can. And there is some stuff I want to go through. Now, I basically sat here with like a burger, eating and like typing notes up and fixing stuff for like 2.5 hours. And I think I got it better than I did earlier. Earlier it was a little scattershot. So, and I think I found some tricks for tomorrow. So I'm on to you, journalists. I'm on to how you do this crap very quickly. All right. All right, let's go down here. Hey, good to see you all. I see Cakespoo. I see my friend Betty C in the chat. Robbie T's back. Robbie T, don't tell anyone what happened before. Marilyn Landis is here. A lot of people. Hopefully we're not going to get in trouble. I may have to talk a little quieter. Maybe I have to talk a little quieter, okay? Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Maybe I'm talking a bit loud. All right. Maybe I'm getting overexcited. I'll try and talk at this level. Sorry. I feel like I'm upsetting my neighbors here at the hotel. Okay. Okay, we're not doing that. We're not talking about intention right now. Okay. All right, just let me set this up so we can start at the beginning. All right. So when Dr. Rogers started this morning, she said what her purpose of this today is. It's the purpose of the prosecution opening to you is to provide you with an outline of what the case is from the prosecution point of view. Prosecution. Uh, and they say it's against the accused woman, Erin Patterson, and the evidence that you can expect to hear from various witnesses. And they say, by the way of introduction, and then it says, on the 29th of July, 2023, Erin Patterson served a lunch of beef Wellington to 4 guests at her home in Leongatha. The guests were her parents-in-law, Gail and Donald Patterson. That's the Patterson side of the family. Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, and her husband, Ian Wilkinson. And she goes on to say, Dr. Rogers goes on to say, they'll be called the lunch guests for a lot of this. She sort of switches back and forth between the terminology a little bit. And then they say, about 11 to 12 hours after the lunch guests developed severe, gastro-like symptoms. By about 12 o'clock, or by about 12 a.m., no, 12 p.m. on the 23rd of July, 2023. So it's the next day, the lunch guests had presented to either two hospitals, Korumbura or Leongatha Hospital. So we've heard these two towns before, Korumbura or Leongatha, not too far away from each other. They're actually a little south from here. If you wanted to go to Leongatha, you would go south from Morwell for about 45 minutes, about 50 minutes. And if you wanted to go to Korumbura, it's about the same. It's a little further, maybe 55 minutes, something like that. They said over the following days, their conditions deteriorated and declined, and they were transferred to metro hospitals for more intensive care. So metro hospitals are bigger hospitals that are not in the country. There's something in the Monash system. So Monash is a type of hospital system in Melbourne, and it is one of the networks in the southeast. So a lot of the hospitals you got like Monash Clayton, Monash Dandenong. There's also a couple in the city, but I don't think they're connected. They're like the Alfred, the Royal. There's a couple of others, Royal Melbourne, but the Monash ones are the three that you would be taken to most likely are Dandenong, Dandy, Clayton, and all the Alfred. Those are the three like major ones on the east side. They're the ones that do like major trauma and things like that. Yeah. So over the days after being presented at these hospitals, their conditions declined severely, and they were transferred to metro hospitals for more intensive care. Those metro hospitals we'll get to in a minute. Despite receiving maximum care, medical care, Donald, Gail, and Heather passed away. They died, unfortunately. Ian Wilkinson was the only person to be a guest at that lunch in Leongatha to survive that lunch. He's the only one we have left. He's survived somehow done a great job. He had a liver transplant. It's crazy. Uh, Ian was the only lunch guest to survive, following a long stay in hospital. His recovery was quite long. Uh, he had the injury late July. He had the transplant in August, and he was in the rehab facility early September. And he ended up being released, like, I think it was October or late September. So his recovery timeline from being allegedly poisoned and then having the transplant to save his life, it's like 3 months. He spent like between 8 and 12 weeks in the hospital. It's a long recovery, and I don't think even maybe today. I'm not sure. I don't know Ian, but I'm sure even today he probably has long-lasting changes to his life. It'd be very anyone who has a liver transplant, I guess, would be having this type of thing. So it says here, yeah, Ian was the only one to survive, and he had a long stay in hospital. Are they saying here each four of the guests at the lunch were clinically diagnosed by doctors who were treating them with amenta mushroom poisoning. I hope I'm pronouncing that. Amneta? I'm hoping I heard it all day. Oh, Amanita? I'm gonna say it like that. If we get it wrong, someone can sue me. Caused by consuming poisonous mushrooms. That was the final clinical diagnosis that they each had been poisoned by these mushrooms. Another guest was invited to this lunch, where four others attended, but declined this specific invitation. That person is the person we know as Simon Patterson. Simon Patterson, and he is Erin Patterson's separated husband. What was initially thought to be some sort of mass food poisoning event was investigated by police. So they end up being investigated by police. We'll go into why a little bit later. As a result of the aforementioned police investigation, Erin Patterson is now charged with one count or one charge. Sorry, that's American. One charge of attempted murder in relation to the critical illness suffered by Ian Wilkinson following the lunch, and three charges of murder in relation to uh, Gail, Donald, and Heather following their deaths and following that lunch. And then it says, and now We're having such trouble with microphones. I don't know what's going on with microphones. We've gone through this is the third one. I just took the sticker off. This is the third one we've been through tonight. We had the other one where it's somewhere. I threw the other one just then because I'm so mad. And we had the big one too. All three died. I don't get what's going on with microphones. It's a ghost. Ping is sure there's ghost. Someone's gonna have to tell me what was the last thing I said. Someone tell me what the last sentence I read was. Because I don't know how long that microphone was dead for. I can't read the chat. The chat on this laptop is so small. The only reason I saw it is because you use the emojis. That's the only reason I saw it. I was like, who's doing red X's for? So someone's gonna have to tell me the last sentence. Is it American made? This is a clip-on one. Look, it has a little clip. I didn't touch the button. The other one died. The battery ran out. That's why, because I tried to turn it back on, it wouldn't turn back on, so battery died. So we've had problems. We had one microphone that kept muting. We had another microphone that just kept stopping. We've had bad problems tonight. All right, someone's gonna have to tell me what was the last sentence about Simon. That's not specific enough. We talk about him quite a lot. That's not specific enough. We go all the way back, investigating the truth. Okay. Geez, that was off for ages then. I read like 4 paragraphs. Swear to God, I'm just gonna beat something. I'm just gonna break the laptop. So annoying. Fine. Fine, I'm gonna get comfortable. We're gonna do this? Fine. I'm gonna put my legs up. We're gonna get comfortable. That's what we're gonna do. All right. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, we'll go back a little bit. Fine. If we're gonna go back and talk about the bit about the gastro like symptoms, that was uh that was back a couple paragraphs ago. Ah, Simon was invited. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. We started at that page. Okay. That's okay. They said, okay, another guest had been invited to the lunch, but declined that invitation. That person is known as Simon Patterson. He is, in all regards, Erin Patterson's husband, who they are now separated. What was initially thought to be a mass food poisoning event was investigated by police. As a result of the police investigation, Erin Patterson is charged with one count of attempted murder in relation to the critical illnesses suffered by Ian Wilkinson following the lunch, and 3 charges of murder in relation to the guests who were at the lunch. They are the other 3 people, and that is in relation to the deaths of Gail, Donald, and Heather, and that is, they died after that lunch. And they say here they want to give a little bit of brief background on Erin Patterson. And Erin Patterson, born in 1974 on the 30th of September, her full name is Erin Trudy Patterson. She was aged between She was aged between 47 and 48 at the time of these alleged offences that she's been charged with. The accused and Simon, uh, they met in the early 2000s when they worked together at Monash City Council in Melbourne. They married June 2007. It says here in my notes that they mention a few times that the accused, Erin Patterson, and Simon had separated a few times over their marriage, several times, if you want to be more specific. They were for short periods, not for very long. They broke up for a little bit, got back together, and this happened quite a few times. They say here, however, In late 2015, they separated permanently. It wasn't for a short period this time, it was forever. They went their separate ways. It says here, though, at this time, the accused, who was the beneficiary of a large inheritance when her grandmother passed away in 2006, she proceeded to buy a three-bedroom home in Korumbura, which she then proceeded to move into. Simon lived at the former family home in Korumbura. I'm not going to give the address. I'm going to keep that private. Despite their separation, Simon and the accused had a pretty and amicable relationship. They shared custody of the two children. They like co-parented. Everything seemed to be going pretty good. They stayed in close contact. They holidayed together. They went interstate, overseas, and this continued for many years. Simon Patterson attended Korumbura Baptist Church every Sunday, and the accused would attend with the children, their children, every Sunday. Simon often ran the technical side for the church, and the accused would assist with operating an online live stream of the church's service. Pretty cool. Uh, yeah, it says here the accused lived in several houses in Korumbura before building a home on a property located in Leongatha. She then proceeded to move into that house in the last half of 2022. I'm not going to. There's a bit here about like the address and stuff. I'm just going to leave that. It is described as a five-bedroom, double-story house situated on a 3-acre block. The top level consists of bedrooms and bathroom. The bottom level consists of living spaces, including the dining and lounge rooms. They say there was, okay. There is a six-seater dining table in the dining room, which sat parallel to the island kitchen bench. You can see that in a photograph. So they showed us a photograph of this specific bench. If we get them at some point, and we're allowed to share them, I will share them with you. It looks like a dining table, typical, like you'd see at a family home. Nothing different that you wouldn't have seen before. They said, okay, they saying the kitchen in this property has a butler's pantry, which is accessible via an open entrance from the kitchen. And okay, from around or approximately 2019, the accused formed connections with a number of online associates who came to know her through their joint participation in a Kelly Lane true crime Facebook. Over time, some of the participants of this group formed close connections and began separate Facebook groups with one another, with discussions ranging from news, current affairs, even their personal lives. The accused participated in these groups under a number of names on these Facebook accounts, different Facebook accounts. One called Erin Patterson, another Erin, and another called Erin. Okay. There's a bit here about mobile phones and that. I'm gonna leave that. I'm not sure if we're allowed to talk about it. I'm just gonna back that off for now. It's just some privacy related stuff. Here, let's jump down a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They said today that some of this stuff will be talked about at a later time. I think that'll be a better time to address a couple of these points, and it's just not now. So they wanted to also give some background on some of the people who died. So Donald and Gail Patterson, last name Patterson, they married November 1973. They had 4 children together, and I'm going to jump down a bit. I don't want to name them, but they had 4 kids. Gail and Donald settled in Korumbura in approximately 1984. About 9 years after they got married. 11 years after they got married, and lived there until their deaths in August of 2023. They are the parents-in-law, and they say here they are the parents-in-law of the accused woman. After Simon and the accused separated, Gail and Donald remained in contact and amicable with the accused. And it says here Donald worked as a school teacher. He'd been retired for many years before his death, and he was 70 at the time of his passing. Gail worked as a homekeeper. She had 2 sisters, one who you know of. Her name is Heather Wilkinson. We've spoken about her before. And the other, Gail. No, the other Gail. One of whom is Heather. We know Heather. So Heather is married to Ian. So Heather is the sister of Gail. There you go. And Gail was 70 also when she passed away. In terms of the background of Heather and Ian, they married in 1979, and they also had 4 children. I'm going to not go through their names. They also settled in Korumbura around 1974 and lived there together until Heather died in August of 23. Heather was the younger sister of Gail Patterson. Heather and Ian were or are therefore Simon's aunt and uncle, and is known to the accused as extended family. Heather worked as a teacher of English language, so an English teacher. She was 66 at the time of her death. Ian is the pastor of the Baptist church in Korumbura, and he had been or has been in that role since the turn of the millennium, 1999, so almost the millennium, 2000. In terms of the background between the relationships of the accused and Simon, following their separation in 2015, the accused and Simon remained friendly, amicable, and affable, and they shared custody of their 2 children. They spoke regularly, they planned and took holidays together, and despite their separation, Simon remained hopeful for a period of time that he and the accused would maybe someday reunite. They continued to communicate with one another and other members of the Patterson family via the Signal messaging app. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, it, it's a lot of information. You can understand why my mind was spinning when I came home. This is like 5 paragraphs. There's 197 paragraphs, which we're not going to be able to get to tonight. But I can give you I can give you a little bit of background because this is what we heard this morning in front of the jury. So I know the wording's a little funny from time to time, and it's because I've had to change a couple of things where I got things wrong. When I heard it, I must have got a different spelling than what is actually the real spelling. There's a process for that, and Ping was dumb. I should have reached out to my contact and said, "Hey, is this how you do this?" Ping was stupid and shy, and should have done better. Should have done better. They say here in 2022, Simon first noticed a sustained change in the relationship with the accused. On one occasion, When Simon was dropping the children at the home, I don't want to give out the street. The accused expressed concerns to Simon over the fact that he had listed himself as separated on his tax return. Simon offered to amend his tax return, but the accused said that she would need to seek child support from him. He was okay with that. He was accepting of that fact. However, their communication from that point started to fray and decline. Issues arose concerning the payment of child support, including whether Simon should make additional payments outside of child support for expenses such as school fees. And it says here, at the start of term 3 in 2023, the accused, she changed her children's school to a different school without consulting with Simon. And they're saying here, they are when we're listening today, they said they're finished with that bit. They wanted to talk about events leading up to the day of the lunch. And then it says here, okay, on 24th of June 2023, that's about a month, about, give or take a day or so, about a month before the lunch, which is the reason, we're talking about this. The accused hosted Donald and Gail at her home for lunch. So they had been there before. And then together with their own children, I'm not going to give you their names, Simon Patterson had also been invited, but on the 12th of June, he sent a text message to the accused declining her invitation to lunch with his parents. Donald and Gail went to the lunch on the 24th of June, but did not get sick after that particular lunch. They were okay. At some stage before the 28th of June 2023, so it's 3 or 4 weeks before the luncheon where 4 people fell ill, the accused told Donald and Gail that she had a lump in her elbow that would require some testing and that she had already booked an appointment with St. Vincent's Hospital on the 28th of June. On the 28th, at about 7:30 p.m., the day of the purported appointment at St. Vincent's Hospital, Gail sent a text message to the accused which asked the accused how did the appointment go that day. She was inquiring as to the status of that appointment. The accused responded that the appointment went okay. It was okay. The accused said she had a needle biopsy taken of the lump and would be returning for an MRI the following week. On July 6, 2023, Gail sent the accused a text which asked how she got on that day with her medical tests. The accused responded at a later point that there was a bit to digest with everything that's come out and that she might want to talk a bit more about it with them but in person, not over the phone. On Sunday, the 16th of July, 23, the accused attended that Korumburra Baptist Church Sunday service, which we read about before, and it seems to be something they did quite frequently. Yeah. And then they said they also took their kids. Simon also attended that service. They said the other people that were there at that service, Donald, Patterson, Gail, and Heather and Ian were also there. And apparently it was Ian who conducted that service at the church. Simon sat at the computer desk and he was facilitating or helping coordinate the live streaming of that church service. After the service, the accused approached Gail Patterson and Heather Wilkinson, who were talking together. She invited them and their husbands, Don and Ian, to a lunch. She also approached Simon, who was still working at the computer desk, and asked if she could discuss something with him. She invited Simon to come to lunch with her, together with Donald, Gail, Heather, and Ian, who she told Simon she'd already invited. The accused told Simon she wanted to hold the lunch on Saturday, the 29th of July, 2023. We all know what that day is. She said the purpose of that lunch was to discuss some medical issues which she had and had to get advice about. And the advice she wanted was, how do you break it to children, or how do you talk to children about it? So I think that sounds about right. And they said here the accused said that it was important that the children were not present for the lunch. The accused asked Simon if he was prepared to attend the lunch, and he agreed. He said, okay. Donald and Gail, Ian, Heather wondered about the purpose of the lunch. Ian and Heather were surprised at the invitation, as they had never been to the accused's home in the past. The day before the lunch, that is the 28th, not the 29th. 29th is when the lunch happened. It's the day before, on the 28th. At 6:54 p.m., Simon texted the accused, telling her he would not be attending that lunch, as he felt too uncomfortable, but that he was happy to talk about the accused's health at another point in time, but over the phone. The accused replied 5 minutes later, saying that she was disappointed in that decision. She emphasized the effort she had done into preparing for the lunch because she wanted to be a special meal, and that it may not have been a lunch, that they may not have. What did she write? Wait, my spelling is terrible. Oh, okay. I know what I mean. My brain knows what I meant 8 hours ago. Uh, no, it doesn't. Uh, oh, okay, I see. Sorry, I edited it and I missed a word. Okay, it says basically she was disappointed because she wanted it to be a special meal, and that she may not be able to have a special lunch like this again for some time. The accused said it was important to her that everyone attended this lunch the following day, and that she hoped to see Simon there. He never replied to that message. At some stage, he told his parents that he would not be attending that lunch. And then on the day, 29th of July, 2023, uh, on the morning of 29th of July, the accused told one of her children, that she'd organized a lunch. She told the other one sometime before then. The accused told the children on Saturday morning that she just wanted the lunch to be for the 5 adults. So the children were to go with somewhere else for the day. I'm not gonna talk too much about that. The legal implications around children is just so strong, it's not even worth, like, if I had a 100-foot pole, I'd ask for another one. It's just not worth even dipping into, so I'm just gonna jump. Sorry, I just not willing to do it. Uh, yeah, you don't need to know that. It's nothing. It'll just get you in jail. The accused or yeah, yep. Okay. Sometime before 12 p.m., Simon called one of the children at around midday and offered to collect all of the children after they'd seen a movie together. Meanwhile, on that same morning, Heather and Ian had breakfast at home together. They met some of their neighbors and a friend for a coffee at a local cafe. And that morning, Donald and Gail Patterson picked up the Wilkinsons and they traveled together to the accused home in Leongatha, arriving at about or around 12:30 p.m. The accused greeted the guests at the door, and yeah, so there was no children present at this property. It was just meant to be for the adults. The accused shows the guests into a dining living area, and they discuss the home. As the Wilkinsons had not been there before, they all went into a garden that was at the back of the property, uh, and then they came inside, and then the accused started serving the lunch. And they say here she had been cooking this meal before the guests arrived. She was in the kitchen when Gail and Heather stood on the other side of the kitchen bench. I guess they were talking or something. The accused plated the meal, which consisted of individual beef Wellingtons, mashed potato, and green beans. The beef Wellingtons were prepared as a piece of steak covered with mushrooms and completely encased in pastry. There were four large gray colored dinner plates and one smaller plate, which was lighter in color. Ian Wilkinson describes this plate as being tan or orange colored. Tan or orange. Heather and Gale moved the four plates from the bench to the table, and the accused took the smaller, lighter colored tan or orange colored plate to her place at the table. Donald, Gale, Ian, and Heather each ate from the large gray colored plates. The accused ate from the smaller plate. They said grace and they started eating. They started eating the meal. Heather and Ian and Heather ate their portion of meals that were given to them. Gail ate approximately about half of her meal and gave the rest to Donald. Donald actually ate that half, and he also ate his half too. So he had like one and a half portions. Here we go. The accused also, yeah. It says here the accused also ate a beef Wellington after the main meal. Okay. They ate dessert, which consisted of a cake that Gail had bought and a fruit platter prepared by Heather. After the lunch, the accused announced that she had cancer and asked for some advice on whether she should tell the children or keep it from them. They had a discussion about it, and they said it was best to be honest with children. They prayed as a group for the accused's health and wisdom in relation to telling those children. At 12:25 p.m., Simon picked up his children from the Leon Gatheth cinema, as had been previously arranged between Simon and one of his children. Simon dropped the children to the accused's house at about 2:30 p.m. Simon and one of the children spent the rest of the afternoon and early evening, so they went off elsewhere. I'm just going to jump this stuff. I don't want anything to do with the children. If another reporter wants to talk to you about it, great. I have no interest. I just don't want it. No mas. I don't want. Uh, Donald, Gail, and Heather all left in the Patterson's car. Donald and Gail drove Ian and Heather home, arriving at about 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Ian had a meeting with the secretary and treasurer of the church, a Kurrumbura church, who were already waiting at the Wilkinsons' home. Heather told them that they had had a lovely lunch and that they had beef Wellington and that it was delicious and beautiful. She said it was an eye filler, pretty special. After the lunch guests left, I'm going to jump this. It has more child stuff in it. Yeah, I'm just gonna jump all of this, I think. Yeah, I'm just gonna jump this entire paragraph. I just don't want it. I don't want anything to do with any children or underage people or whatever. I just don't want it. No, thank you. Uh, just check through my notes. How far can we go down? I'm gonna jump a little bit further down. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the hospitalization. So, this was in the opening today by the prosecution. Nanette Rogers, or as we heard, Dr. Rogers, and it says here, I have now come to the hospitalization of the victims, alleged victims, at around midnight on the evening following the lunch, and that says here, that means Sunday, 30th of July. Heather and Ian started to suffer nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Uh, they said they went on all through the night. Those symptoms went on all through the night. They each used their own toilet and stayed in separate rooms for most of that time. But they did come together a couple of times to talk a little bit to each other. At around dawn on the morning after the lunch, Heather called Don and Gail, who said they had similar symptoms and had already called an ambulance. And at about 8:45, Donald rang his son, Simon. He said that he and Gail had been suffering with vomiting and diarrhea, which had started at around midnight for Donald and at about 1 a.m. for Gail. He told his son Simon he had called an ambulance, which was in fact being sent or dispatched at 8:34 a.m. Donald also said that Ian and Heather were experiencing the same symptoms as them. At 9:15 a.m., ambulance attended the home of Donald and Gail. The paramedic who arrived spoke with the couple, who described their symptoms. The paramedic did a preliminary assessment and transported them to Kurrumbura Hospital. Now, about Ian and Heather Wilkinson, after speaking with Donald, Simon tried to call Heather and Ian's mobiles, but neither got an answer neither of those phones were answered. Simon ended up getting up and driving to their home. Ian answered the door, obviously unwell. It says here, he, Heather and Heather and Ian both were worn out and still vomiting. Simon told Ian that they needed to get to a hospital. Ian invited him inside, where Heather was on a couch, really unwell. It was eventually agreed that Simon would call for an ambulance for both of the Wilkinsons. Ian left the room, seemingly to use the toilet, and Simon sat on the couch to wait for him. Unprompted, Heather said, "Yeah, I noticed that Erin put her food on a different plate to us. Her plate had colors on it. I wonder why that was." At 9:35 a.m., still on the same morning that we're talking about, Simon called 000. So if you're an American, 000 is 911. And it says here, Ian and Heather went and got changed. The 000 operator talked to Simon and informed him that it would be at least an hour for an ambulance that could come and assist them. That's a long time. Simon suggested that he himself would take Ian and Heather to the hospital instead of waiting for that ambulance, and they agreed that would be a good idea. Simon drove the Wilkinsons to Kurrumbura Hospital. However, the hospital was at capacity, and this is due to the presentation of of Donald and Gail Patterson. They had no more room. They were already at max capacity dealing with those two. They're saying here Donald and Gail Patterson had got there beforehand. Simon then drove the Wilkinsons to Leongatha Hospital, and on the way to that hospital, Heather said, "Is Erin short of crockery?" She's asking about the different colored plates. Like she this is the second time she said something. Like, this is what's going. She's very ill, and then she's saying, "Hey, what's going on with these plates?" So yeah, she brought it up twice in one morning, and it says here, she says after she says, "Is Erin short of crockery?" She says, "I was wondering why she served herself on a different plate to the rest of us. I'm I've I'm puzzled about it. I think it's my notes say I've been puzzled about it since lunch. I've been puzzled about it since lunch." Simon responded that the accused didn't have lots of plates and maybe she ran out of plates. Okay. In terms of the events at the Korumburra Hospital, Gail and Donald had arrived at Korumburra Hospital via ambulance at 10:10 a.m. They were assessed by a nurse called Lisa Shannon, and that was in the urgent care center of the hospital. They reported that they'd been unwell with vomiting and diarrhea since about 10 p.m. the night before. They'd eaten a beef and mushroom dish for lunch the day prior, which they thought had caused the sickness. There was an on-call doctor, and I'm going to get the name wrong and someone's going to shoot me, I'm sure. Dr. Am- Amatya, and the doctor saw the Pattersons, where she took their histories, including Donald's report of having opened his bowel 16 times and experiencing vomiting. The doctor formulated a management plan for gastro basically. So they thought originally they had gastro, and this involved intravenous rehydration, antiemetics, and these are drugs that are used to treat vomiting and nausea. The other one, the intravenous rehydration, is from the loss of fluids from going to the toilet a lot and losing a lot of liquids. It's really dangerous. You can upset your salts in your system and get quite ill. So they may have been quite ill by this point already. So that rehydration would probably, hopefully, maybe they thought that would make them feel better. You would think maybe it might work. It says here they were also formulated and given a plan to get them some anti-diarrheal medication. According to the star, no, sorry, wrong line. Staff at that hospital, the Korumburra Hospital, ordered a variety of tests for Donald and Gail and treated them for gastroenteritis. They were both admitted to a ward at around 12:15 p.m. that day. Simon arrived at the Korumburra Hospital not long after midday. Donald and Gail were in the same room, in their own beds, and Donald told Simon, "Mum doesn't want me to tell you this. It's about what Erin talked to us about at lunch." Donald asked if Simon thought he would tell him, and Simon said yes. Donald then said, "Erin told us that she's had tests uh, for her elbow and that they found ovarian cancer. She probably needs chemo and some surgery, and she wasn't sure how to tell the children." Simon recalled Donald previously mentioning something about the accused having a test on her elbow. Donald and Gail said Simon and the accused should talk about it. Simon sent a message to his siblings letting them know that his parents and his aunt and uncle had all been hospitalized, and that during that afternoon, testing revealed that both Don and Gail's lactate levels were elevated, indicating that they were very unwell. Lactate's a thing they'll get into. If we end up making it 97 hours past this point, you'll learn more about lactate, like I did today. Yeah, so it says here tests revealed that both Don and Gail's lactate levels were elevated, indicating that they were unwell. And they say, now at a later point in this trial, you'll hear about what is a lactate level. So, yeah, so eventually we'll hear a bit more about that. I don't even really know what that is. I mean, I know quite a lot of medicine, and we do a lot of different trials and things on this channel. And we've talked about several different types of, medical tests or blood levels or platelets and this and that. But lactate is not a thing I've heard come up very often in any type of trial or documents or autopsies or anything like that. It's not super common. Not one I've ever really known a lot about. So I will learn just like you will as we go through. What does it say here? So they're just saying here they did like a little speech saying, um, basically at a later point, everyone will all understand what it does for the body, how it affects you, and if you have this type of high level, what would that do to you? So they said it's not for right now. You will find out a little bit later. So just in the evidence. They say a decision was made to transfer Don and Gale to a tertiary hospital, namely Dandenong Hospital. So Dandenong Hospital is one of the largest hospitals in the southeast. It's a really big hospital, and Dandenong Hospital. I don't know if you know this, but I know this. Dandenong Hospital. Do you know what they Do you know why they might have sent them to Dandenong Hospital? King knows the answer, and they didn't say it here today, but I actually know from personal experience. Dandenong Hospital in the Monash units, so the Monash connected hospitals, Dandenong is where they do bowel surgery. It's the only hospital in the Monash system in the southeast where they do bowel surgery. So if you need a colorectal surgeon, they only do it at Dandenong. So that may be one of the reasons they got transferred out to Dandenong and not, say, Clayton or Alfred or something like that. Dandenong is a colorectal surgery hospital. There you go, a little bit of insight from Ping. All right, let me get back here. Yeah, so they ended up being transferred to Dandenong Hospital. And this was for, an elevated care. They wanted more elevated care for them. Yeah, it says here the doctor, amateur, arranged for that transfer at about 5 p.m. to Dandenong Hospital via paramedic. And they saying now switching back to Leongatha Hospital, so the other side, the other two people. The Wilkinsons arrived there on Sunday morning at about 10:57 a.m. in the morning. Upon getting there and arrival, Simon took them to reception, and he sent a message to Brad. I'm not going to give you the last name. The Wilkinsons' son-in-law, that Heather and Ian were in hospital. Brad and his wife. I just gave you the name. Good work, Ping. You suck. Popcorn says, "Excuse me, need to use the restroom." I know. I'm sorry. I know. Okay. What? Aussie Trisha said it's the best for bowels. Apparently, it is. It's one of the best colorectal bowel surgery hospitals in the southern Victoria. Let's see. Okay, at Leongatha Hospital, the Wilkinsons had been assessed by a triage nurse called Tiny. Not a joke. The name is Tiny. The on-call doctor at Leongatha is called Dr. Chris Webster, and that he was made aware of their presentation at the hospital. After the Wilkinsons were triaged, they were taken to a what they call a isolation and plaster room. It's not something I know what that is, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what a plaster room is. Is that like if you break a leg, they plaster your leg? Not sure. King doesn't know. I know what an isolation room is. That's where you get isolated. But what is a plaster room? Is that like when if you break an arm, they have to like no, they plaster your arm with that stuff and then they cut it off later on. Ping's never had a broken bone. I have. I've actually broken a couple of toes before, but not a major bone like a leg or an arm. I wasn't one of those teenagers that had the cast on their arm. I've broken a couple of toes though, but not an arm. Two of your kids have Crohn's. That's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that. Crohn's is a debilitating disease that affects people awfully. I'm sorry to hear that. Aussie Chucha said a plaster room definitely for breaks. Okay, that makes sense. I get it. I get it. I feel like I'm on a casting couch. I feel like a really ugly man is going to come and take advantage of me. Let's see. It's not funny, Ping. Be serious. These are serious topics. All right. You have to be serious. There's penalties and contempt, subjudice. No emotions. After triage, the Wilkinsons were taken to the plaster room, isolation room. I don't know what that means, but okay. The Wilkinsons were taken to that room. Yep, where they were continuing to receive treatment. So what does it say here? God, I wish I could read my writing sometimes. Oh, I did. No, that's okay. Don't worry about that. It basically Dr. Webster was treating them. God, my writing sucks. Uh, okay. While treating them and trying to assess their illnesses, the attention between the doctor and the patients quickly turned to what they had eaten, and that is that meal that they had the day before. The Wilkinsons told Dr. Webster that they had arrived at the house where the lunch was served about 12:30 p.m. There was no food served before the main meal that day, and that had been served about 1 p.m. The meal consisted of beef Wellington, which was eaten by the five of them. Dr. Webster ascertained that those five were Ian, Heather, Donald, Gail, and the accused. No alcohol was consumed at this particular lunch. The Wilkinsons had not eaten any type of food since the lunchtime meal the day before. Symptoms of vomiting and the diarrhea had started in the evening and continued during the night. Both Heather and Ian remained at Leongatha in that plaster room. Dr. Webster went in and out of that room several times during the afternoon. He reported witnessing both Ian and Heather vomiting, and he inspected their vomit. Vomit? Yeah, vomit. Sorry, I don't want to repeat that word. Sorry about that. Oh, okay. I'm just trying to read down my notes a little bit and see what I'm talking about. Oh, okay. So the doctor, Webster, had been looking at this vomit that they had chucked up, unfortunately, and was looking to see if there was any like blood particulate or any blood mixed into it. That's like a really not a great sign. But apparently it says here that he wasn't able to see any during this time. Dr. Webster also observed the Wilkinsons leave the plaster room and walk to the toilets. When they returned, they each reported that they still had this diarrhea. Later that evening, they were both admitted to a ward in the hospital, and their daughter, I'm not going to give you her name, had visited them in hospital. Heather and Ian queried whether the accused had also been admitted into a hospital. They wondered that because she had eaten the same meal as them, same food, right? And then they say overnight. Okay, okay. So we jump a little bit forward, and this is Monday morning, 31st of July, 23. There was a discussion between Dr. Webster and the night nurse, about a possibility of transferring the Wilkinsons to a bigger hospital. A decision was made to not transfer them at that particular stage because their clinical conditions did not warrant escalation of that treatment. And then it says here, it says some, oh, God, my freaking writing. Donald, okay. I'm going to do better at this tomorrow, okay? I promise. I'm going to be clearer. Uh, okay. So we jumped back to a different hospital. This time we're back at Dandenong. When they got transferred, the other couple, Donald and Gail, got transferred to Dandenong. They say Donald and Gail eventually arrived at Dandenong Hospital at around 6:30 p.m. on July 30. And then it says here that was the Sunday night. They were placed into separate rooms. Simon did attend Dandenong Hospital and moved between the rooms to be with each of them. They're saying here Donald received care from a doctor called Dr. Constance Peterson, who took his medical history, um, followed by a different doctor. Donald reported that he had vomited upwards of 30 times since midnight and described it as a dark red or brown. He is also experiencing ongoing diarrhea and mild intermittent pain in the lower right quadrant of his abdomen. He had to go back and forth to the bathroom during the assessment alone. They're saying medical staff prescribed medication to ease Donald's pain and symptoms and ordered various medical tests to be performed. The tests indicated an abnormal liver functions, abnormal kidney functions, and a raised lactate level. A subsequent CT scan demonstrated that his stomach and colon were distended by fluid. His vomit and bowel contained blood. He continued to receive aggressive treatment at Dandenong Hospital. Gail Patterson received her care from a doctor called Vina Pathia. Gail was admitted to a short stay unit and treated with intravenous fluids. So they're trying to rehydrate her. They say Gail's initial liver functions were normal, apart from an elevated test called an ALT, which will become clear later on in the evidence, they said. So we'll learn more about that when we hear from actual doctors and stuff. What do they say here? It says here that Gail at the time did not appear to be quite as unwell as Donald. And they say here a doctor called Dr. Beth Morgan took over the care of Donald at 9:30 p.m. This is on the Sunday night still. She reviewed the results of his test and spoke to him. As a result of her review, she was concerned that the diagnosis of gastroenteritis was alone unlikely to explain the severity of the symptoms going on with Donald, and that she referred him to a surgical register of toxicology and intensive care. What the hell that is, I'm not sure, but that sounds bad. At about 10:20 p.m., Morgan telephoned the toxicology register on call, and his name, the toxicologist on call is called Dr. Mark Douglas. Mark Douglas. He provided him with the presenting history of the Pattersons. Dr. Douglas also reviewed the Monash Health electrical medical records of the two patients, which he accessed remotely. The doctor expressed concern that Donald's symptoms, including the delayed onset of vomiting and diarrhea, was most indicative of serious toxic syndrome caused by ingestion of Amanita phalloides mushrooms. I'm probably getting that wrong. That is death cap mushrooms. This is when they first sort of piece together that they think that there's something other than gastroenteritis going on, and that this particular toxicology doctor picks up that these symptoms seem awfully like death cap poisoning. So it's the first time we sort of hear about it in this opening address. They say after consultation with the senior doctor, Dr. Douglas provided Dr. Morgan with advice as to the appropriate treatment for the Pattersons, which included. Hold on. Okay, there's a small explanation here that they told us about. They administered a medication called NAC, but if you ask me to pronounce the scientific name or spell it, I might die. I don't know how to do that. And I haven't even written it correctly. All I've got is just tell them it's called NAC. I didn't I didn't even write the long version because I don't know what it is. Um, I said here, I just wrote here, just tell them it's called NAC. Well, it's called NAC apparently. It's an that you put it in as an infusion, so it's not like an injection. An infusion runs through your intravenously, right? But it's drip fed, and then it's infused into your into your system, into your blood. So it may take a long time. Some infusions take a really long time. Some you can do in like 15 minutes. Like I don't know if you know this, but iron back in the day used to take like between 8 and 12 hours per iron. Now it takes 15 minutes. They developed a technology that was actually developed, I think, at Monash. Monash in Victoria actually developed this technology to speed up, uh, what do you call it? Now I've lost the name of it. An infusion of iron. So I don't know about this NAC or how long it takes, but some infusions take a long time. We drop out again. I'm gonna murder someone myself. Hold on. I don't want to get off. Where did that cord go? Doesn't like being put on charge. I hope it doesn't run out. Hope it doesn't run out. I tried to charge it so we wouldn't run out. I hope it does not. Okay, what does it say here? NAC. Okay. The explanation that I wrote down says they told us today in this opening address that NAC is a type of medication and they use it to protect liver. So it's to stop. I think the word they used was necrosis. So you'll hear a bit later that there was necrosis of certain body parts, and apparently it tries to stop that. So that's my NAC dishes. Yeah, it says here At this particular stage of the diagnosis and treatment, a decision was made to not what's the word you would use? Like I would say, um, I really got to make more complete sentences tomorrow. A decision was made to okay. So they thought about getting a medication called silibinin, and this is a different type of medication. It's a specific antidote for death cap poisoning. I had no idea about this before we heard about it today, but that's very interesting. It's called silibinin. What is it called? Silibinin. Nin. Silibinin. Silibinin. There you go. Um, and it's a specific antidote for death cap poisoning. And they said there was no sufficient information or evidence to confirm any ingestion of death cap mushrooms at this point during treatment or analysis of these patients. So they decided to be against uh, sourcing and locating this particular antidote and giving it to them because they didn't have some sort of like 100% like confirmation that they'd had any death cap. I don't know, maybe it has some like nasty side effects if you have it, and if you have it when it's like when it's not needed, maybe it can do some damage or something. That's why they don't want to do it. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. Oh, it's okay. I just hope we don't get in trouble. I'm doing my very best to try and keep it like what we heard. No children, and keep it to facts, and not go off script so much. But some of my words are not official. I sort of use my own words every now and then. Not for anything big, just like with grammar. All right. Okay. It says here that after they declined to try and locate and source that antidote medication, silibinin, uh, Dr. Douglas asked the other doctor, Dr. Beth Morgan, to confirm whether Donald had eaten more of the beef Wellington to ascertain the source of the mushrooms and to contact Leongatha Hospital to check on the clinical status of the other patients, aka the other people at the lunch. At 11:20 p.m., Donald was admitted to the ICU and he started to receive that drug, which we call NAC. And if you ask me to say the scientific name, I may never come back. And it says he started to receive that NAC drug shortly after midnight. In the early hours of the morning on July 31st, and it says here, Dr. Beth Morgan ended up ringing Leongatha Hospital and spoke with a nursing cohort about the condition of the Wilkinsons. Beth is also involved in the care of Gail and reviewed her in person. The history of the lunch was confirmed at that time. Gail reported symptoms of diarrhea and vomiting. Dr. Beth referred Gail to the ICU. Following advice from Dr. Douglas, Gail also received that medication, NAC. A couple of hours later at 6:50, Dr. Morgan rang Dr. Douglas and provided him with a clinical update. The feds, they're after us. And they're saying here, at this time, with that clinical update, they learned of Gail's worsening condition. Dr. Douglas advised treatment as per the Austin guidelines for death cap poisoning. They say death cap poisoning, and then they saying they wanted to provision silibinin, the antidote, the specific antidote. Yeah. Um, mm, okay. So the doctor, Dr. Morgan, had made arrangements for that drug to be made available as soon as possible. They had to try and get some. Where does it come from? I'm not sure. Maybe we'll learn in the evidence later on. They say at 7:10 a.m., Dr. Beth rang Chris Webster, Dr. Chris Webster, at Leongatha. Dr. Morgan informed Dr. Webster that there was a high level of concern that Donald and Gail had been poisoned with death cap mushrooms. She recommended that Heather and Ian, or as we have known like and worded for a while, the Wilkinsons, to be treated with that drug, NAC, and a drug called penicillin. We all know what penicillin is. And indicated that they could be transferred to Dandenong also for more elevated care. So if you go to Dandenong, it's a bigger hospital. It's got more doctors, more specialists, bowel surgeons, that type of thing. As a result of this conversation, the Wilkinsons were taken back down to the urgent care center at Leongatha. Dr. Webster told them that he'd been communicating with Dandenong Hospital about the possibility of mushroom poisoning and the need for treatment. Arrangements were made to commence the treatment, advised by Dr. Morgan, and arrange for the transfer of the Wilkinsons to Dandenong Hospital as soon as possible, and they were taken there by ambulance shortly after 9 a.m. Later that morning at 10 a.m., Dr. Douglas, the toxicologist, arrived at Dandenong Hospital to review the patients. He spoke separately with Gail and Donald in intensive care or ICU and confirmed their history already provided. And they say here Donald's son was present for some of that conversation, including where Donald said he'd eaten Gail's leftovers. So it might explain why he is in such a worse way and a much advanced way a little earlier on than Gail was, even though Gail got sick later on too and did end up passing away. He seemed to really cop it, Don. He got really ill very fast. So if you remember back a few pages ago, he ate her other half of her meal and ate his meal too. So he may have had like, if proven, if true, we don't know. This is not evidence. This is a opening address. We don't know. We'll see what happens. He may have had more than everyone else combined. We don't know. I have to wait to see what the toxicologists and doctors and things like that have to say over the coming weeks. They say Donald indicated to Dr. Douglas that he didn't know. Okay, they recommended that the treatment continue for death cap poisoning. A short time later, Donald was sedated and intubated. Um, they're saying here all four guests were treated with activated charcoal. Uh, they say they were treated with activated charcoal and an intravenous antibiotic, or yeah, antibiotic. Is that the word I use? Antibiotic. They say an intravenous fluid replacement and continuous NAC infusion for working diagnosis of death cap poisoning. Eventually, due to their critical condition, each of the four were transferred to the ICU at Austin Hospital. Now at the point, okay, all right. You know what? I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. Well, we're about to run out of microphone, and it goes on for like another 50 pages. So that is your sort of look into the opening statements from today. I will do I will do a bigger, like I'll try and pare this down tomorrow to like 10 pages, and we'll go through it together. And yeah, it's been a long day. If you guys can't tell, I'm actually really tired. It's been a really long day. I got up at like 5 a.m. It's almost midnight now, and um Yeah, so I hope that gives you some insight into the reporting, the information of this opening day. I need to do some more on the defense, so we'll look at that coming up. I will do some more on the rebuttal or like the defense's opening statement. It's not very long. Uh, the This particular one, the prosecution, Nanette Rogers or Dr. Rogers, her opening statement went for like almost 4 hours. So I could sit here for another 2.5 hours and keep reading, but there's a lot of information. Um, but I wanted to give you like an insight because a lot of these articles that are coming out, they've got like sort of cherry picked information. You sort of don't hear a lot. They've just got the bits they think are interesting in that. So, but I wanted to try and keep it factual and no emotions, that type of thing. Carolina says a double portion for Donald. That is truly a sad case. I couldn't begin to imagine everything they went through. Thank you. I appreciate it. Aussie Trisha said that was really good. Thanks, Ping. Appreciate you coming on. Not a problem. If that wasn't like a 5 hour talk, I would have done it all. It just goes into some other stuff that's like it is relevant, but sort of not at the same time, if that makes sense. Like it is facts and it is in the opening address. It's just sort of not needed. Like not needed. Just doesn't need to be reported. It's just it's more for just the court. It's like for their like they need to know. The jury needs to know, right? The opening address is for the jury, not me. I'm just watching. So I think that's the way you got to look at it. We're just watching like a portal into that courtroom. We're not the targets of this information. The targets of this information are the jury. It's for them. It's not for Erin. It's not for the defense. It's not even for the family and friends that are sitting somewhere in the courtroom or something. It's all for those 15 men and women that are sitting, listening to the evidence, and got many weeks of different stuff to listen to. So it's just a look in. That's where you got to think about it. But I hope it's been interesting. No, you're welcome. I felt bad about the first one. The first one was really bad. The fact that we had so many breakdowns in the microphone and um I got to get better at my writing tomorrow because when I was working on my notes tonight, I found so many things that I either misspelt, attributed slightly incorrectly, paragraph was like in the wrong place. So it's sort of like when you start a job for the first time and you're like really nervous about it and you know you're going to screw up or not do something 100% right. And it takes a little bit of practice. That that's sort of what's happening. But when you have such a serious thing like this where the consequences for screwing up are jail or monster fines, not quite the same. It's a little bit different. It's like the risks are a lot higher. So the first one got deleted. I have deleted it. I have deleted it. Sorry about that. It wasn't very good. This one is better, and it just was incomplete. This one's a little incomplete, but I'm gonna when I get some time. Friday, I think might be a shorter day. A lot of times, even in America, the court day on a Friday is like a short day. I'm not sure if that's what's happening with us here. I'll have to double check with the court staff tomorrow. If we are having a short day tomorrow, I mean on Friday, then Friday afternoon I can sit and work on my notes a bit more, um, and try and start paring stuff down into like a more palatable like format while still keeping the like truth of it. So it's just a bit of work and I got to figure it out. But I figured out some tricks. So while editing my notes, I realized that I can use like a copy and paste type function to attribute stuff to like either Nanette Rogers or Colin Mandy or Justice Beale. Like I found a little trick so that I can just sort of like use a shortcut. So I can use different shortcuts for different names, and that'll speed this up a lot quicker. Because when you're in court, like I said, it's not like they pause it and you can go back and listen to it. They're just like, whoa, and you just got to type like like a chipmunk. You got to keep going. So picking up a few tips here and there. Uh, Marylanders says a double portion by Donald. Seems so. Why can't I read anything? Corumbura? Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said. That's exactly how I pronounce it, except, I'm French. Like, what do you want me to say? Sometimes French people have, like, strange accents and pronunciation. It's what can you do about it? Double. You enjoyed it? All right. Let's see if we get sued in the morning. We shouldn't. This is all factual. It was all said in front of the jury. There's nothing in there that's protected. And anything that was protected, I didn't read to you guys. So it should be fine. Um, Marylander says diagnosis comes too late. I'm not sure. I know that in the next few weeks, while this trial is ongoing, these names that you hear in this thing, we're going to hear from them. So we heard today during the opening addresses, one of the statements they make is that we're all going to hear like from these people. So you hear about these different doctors and toxicologists, and there's a doctor at Leon Gatha, there's a doctor at Korumbura, uh, there's a doctor at Dandenong, and that you're going to hear from all these people in person. So over the next little while, these witnesses will be called, and I will be able to tell you more about what they actually have to say. Because yeah, you have to remember the information you get today, well, from the opening statements. Like I think I said before, it's not evidence. It's just not. It's what the prosecution thinks might happen when they do give their evidence. That's the way it was explained in court today. It's not evidence. It's just a statement. It's an outline. It's their way of telling you what they think will happen during the court case, what evidence they think will come out, how they think it will land, that type of thing. So, let's see how fast we go tomorrow and how many witnesses we can get through. I believe tomorrow might be. I don't know if this has been reported or not, so I feel like might get in trouble. I'll tell you tomorrow. I don't know if I've reported it yet or not, but there is a witness coming in tomorrow, and then on Friday or Monday, I don't know yet. There's another one that I think would be a good witness that we might all get to hear from. So that'll be. I'll tell you tomorrow at lunchtime what's going on with that because we'll know by then. This light is terrible. We need a better light that doesn't shine like directly on the top of my head. Um, but we'll see how fast they can go through these witnesses. That's what really determines how long these trials take. If you've got, and I'm not saying this is this trial, I don't know the number for this trial, but say you've got like 70 witnesses or something. How long does it take to go through 70 people with their recollections and memories and things like that? What if each one takes half a day? That's at least 40 days. So it's hard to know. Do I think it'll be 6 weeks? Oftentimes they're not. Oftentimes what happens is You have a couple of witnesses who take quite a long amount of time, and then you have a bunch of witnesses that their testimony is very short, so they only answer like 5 questions and then they're done. But then you have some other ones that answer like 150 questions. I don't know, I'm not on the prosecution team, and I've not been given any advice about anything like that. So, I would just say, just keep an eye on how fast it moves through different witnesses, and that'll give you a sort of idea of if it's running quickly or slowly or not fast enough, like, we'll see. Mhm. You might try get out here. You could try. I think the hardest thing is trying to get into the gallery. The gallery's packed. Like, today, the gallery was full. I don't think there was a free space anywhere in there in that gallery. I tell you what I saw today, though. I didn't see I didn't see the line I thought I was gonna see for the gallery. I really thought we're gonna see this massive line of people, and some people get in and some people not. But it wasn't like the Johnny Depp trial. Like, Johnny Depp trial had all these people that were lining up, like, at 5 a.m. in the morning. It didn't have that. I didn't, or at least I didn't see it. I got there at, hmm, hmm. I got there at, about just before 10. I got there just before 10. I went through security, and then I went up to our media room. So I didn't see any lines, although I didn't try either. You just said no. So later on, I think I read this out on the first show. Um, in the defense's talk in the afternoon, in their opening statement, they admit that Erin never had cancer. Uh, Unfortunately, that never happened. Now, I don't know. I can't remember the framing of that. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember if they framed it as something else. I'll have to look it up. But we learned that she didn't have cancer. So she never. I think they were trying to say. Like, I'll have to look up. I don't want to misquote anyone, and I don't want to attribute to someone who didn't say something. I think that's part of your responsibility as a reporter. Marilander says we learned. Yeah. So no, she didn't have cancer. Yeah, we don't know why that was told to people. We'll have to wait for witnesses to tell us. Yeah, I would say keep an eye out on what you think the like amount of people going are. Like, check online. I'll tell you. Like, I'm gonna be here next week too, so I'm here till Saturday. I'm going home for 24 hours, and then I'm coming back on Sunday, and then I'm back into court Monday morning. So, and then I'm back here from Monday to Friday next week, and then we'll see if I'm here for the week 3. I don't know yet. These stupid hotels are stupidly expensive. It's about $1,000 a week at the moment. So we'll see. I've already outlaid like 2 grand on hotels. So we'll see. We'll see. But I hope this was better done. Hope this wasn't yeah, just hope this was better than the first one. The first one was a bit crap. I think it'll be better tomorrow. I sort of have the lay of the land now. I sort of understand how things work. I know when I can go and leave, and I think I understand how I can keep up with the typing and stuff now. So it was just a bit of a shock. We were just sort of sitting there, and then they just sort of went, "Okay, we're going now," and everyone just went like they're just like fingernails are flying off, and like keys are just disappearing, and they can those journalists, they can really type. If there's one skill they have, geez, they can type fast. I thought I could type fast. Wow, they easily like hundreds of words a second, not a second, but like a minute. Hundreds. They're like, "Oh," and then they get bored. They're like, "Oh, no, I already got that. Oh, it was like a paragraph ago." No. Mm. I'm tired. Alright, I'm falling asleep. Oh, that's okay. Did you send me 80 bucks? I think that's the highest, I think that's like the highest super chat we've ever had. That's very kind. Very, very kind, actually. Very, very appreciated. No, no, that's okay. Says, "Sorry, I don't have PayPal." No, no, that's fine. I appreciate it. I'm here for you guys. I really am. It's sort of like a tightrope thing. You just got to step so carefully because this is not like a YouTuber just sitting online talking crap or whatever, or telling stories from across the world or whatever. I see these people every day. I'm in the same room as a lot of these people. You know, the media teams and stuff like that. I'm freaking there. They're right in front of me. Like they're sitting next to me and like they've got a desk that's just over there. So it's just like you don't want to walk in there like the next morning and they're like, "Oh, it's that guy that screwed everything up yesterday. Good work." And everyone starts clapping and they're like, "Judge is going to call you down in 5 minutes. You're going to get ranked. You're going to get raped over the coals or something." It's just you don't want that, and Ping doesn't want that. It was such an opportunity to be given a chance to go do it this way for this trial. I just don't want to screw it up. So learn shorthand. You just says thanks, Ping. I don't want to hear about this case from anyone else. I appreciate it. And once we have a verdict, I can give you more analysis. Right now, I can't tell you anything like that. I can't tell you what I think. I can't tell you anything. I can tell you what we hear from the jury in front of no, no, no. I can tell you what we hear when the jury is in the room, when it's said to the jury. Anything else is off limits. It is no talkie. Can't talk, can't write, can't mention it, nothing. So, but when we have a verdict, that responsibility, for the most part, gets released. There's still some things that will forever be like suppressed, but it's for the other parts that we've already heard about. I can tell you what I think. I can tell you what I saw or how this might work with X, Y, and Z. But right now, I can do none of that. Can't do anything like that. So I don't know what that is. What is a stenogram? I don't even know what that is. What is a stenogram? Don't say words I don't know. It's too late at night for that. Hey, four sons. Oh, I'm typing on a laptop. This is a laptop. What you guys are seeing here, this is a full size laptop. Still hard to type on this, like, faster. Maybe at the end of the trial, I'll show you my first set of notes. So when we did the first show, I got off and I was so embarrassed. I sat here and just read through all the notes and tidied them up and checked the transcript. And if I misspelled something, I'd rewrite it and put it back. And it took me 2.5 hours. It took me 2.5 hours. I was just sitting there. I had food and I was just like typing and eating. And I was like, or, and then I finished and I was like, oh, well, I'll talk to you guys now. So I just felt bad. The first one was. I have no idea what I don't know what a stenographer or whatever that is. What is it? A court reporter thing that is placed on the mouth. Padded black thing. Sure, that's something to do with court and not like some other type of dungeon where like there's a mistress and like a dominatrix or something. Sounds like something for that part of the world, not this part of the world where you go to a courthouse. All right. I love you guys. Uh, I hope to do more live streaming tomorrow. It's a little hard to do it at court with the amount of people that are roaming around, even at lunchtime, it feels rude to start the live stream. Even when I was on with Trish, I had to go like 2 blocks away and hide behind a shops because there's just too many people, and I just don't wanna be walking around like I'm some sort of TikToker on the live stream. So I wanna do more live streaming. I just gotta find the right places for it. But, if we get off early on Friday, you guys will get a primetime show at like 11 p.m. at night, so Judith says, "Of course not, I'm a good girl." Sure, sure, I know your name is a safe word because, no one else knows how to pronounce it but you. Alright, I'm gonna get some sleep, guys. I gotta be up at court, 10 a.m. tomorrow, back in court tomorrow for 10 a.m., and that means I gotta sleep, I gotta go to bed, I gotta I'll probably comb my hair. It's really knotty for some reason all of a sudden. And then I'll go like this tomorrow. Maybe they won't recognize me. All right. All right. I better go to bed before I piss off my neighbors. And they're like, that guy keeps talking all night. All right. I love you guys. Have a great night. Review this, listen to it. And maybe we can do a bit more tomorrow. But this gives you an insight into those opening addresses and how detailed at least the prosecution was, and how the defense one was very stoic. It was they just wanted to make sure you understood. That's what I sort of heard from them. They wanted to make sure you understood that Erin was innocent until proven guilty. That was their big message. They wanted you to know that the prosecution has the job of convincing everyone of the guilt. They have to take you from innocent to guilty, and it's like a scale, and the prosecution has to drag you along that scale to 100% this side, and if you can't get there, then it's not, right? It's not guilty. You have to go all the way down. So, I thought that was um yeah, it was interesting for a short message. It was only a short speech, about 20 minutes, so, we're gonna hear a lot more from the defense in the coming weeks. Um and tomorrow witnesses start. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, and I'll speak to you tomorrow when we get out of court. But tomorrow I'm gonna wait. It's probably I think we're better off doing it this time than me rushing home and everyone's half asleep at like 4 a.m. in the morning. I think it's better if we wait till about 10 o'clock at night. Then people start waking up. There's more people that can hang out. So, yeah, I know. Hey, Forson's mum. Hey, thanks for that donation the other day, my friend. I really appreciate it. It's very kind of you. And thank you to Aussie Trisha for the for that $80 super chat. That's a hell of a super chat. Really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna go get some sleep. It's been a long day. Long day. First day for media access. It was a long day. All right. Peace out. Live from Morwell. Live. Nights with Ping. Live from the Erin Patterson trial in Morwell, Victoria, Australia. Good night, everyone. See you later.